everyone, welcome to day 4 of Vlogmas. I am Dr. V and thank you so much for being here. All right, so let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 books that I have read this year that have been very instrumental into my personal development, business development, life development, all of that. 2 of them are audiobooks. I did download one and read it. But I started with the audio version, and my preferred method for that book is the audio version, which I will tell you about. And then I have hard copies of the other 3. So the first one I want to talk to you about is The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence, Shinn. So The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel, Shinn. Yes, I think that's how you pronounce it. And it was written in like 1925. Very old book, talks about metaphysics and your thought process. And Florence was a spiritual teacher. She was considered like a new age spiritual teacher. And it was about manifesting things in your life. You are in charge of your life situations based on your thoughts. And when I read this book, first of all, I like the tone of the audio person who read it. It was just very soothing. I will admit, all I did was just go to YouTube and search for it, and several audio versions came up. And while I was listening to it, it makes you think like, wow, if I really have these thoughts and I believe that they can come true, things could really happen. But the secret was if I let it go. For me, I had a problem of letting go thoughts. Like I would think something, I would believe it, and I'll say, okay, we're going to work towards it. We're going to do it. And I'm going to go after it. And it was always on my mind, but it wasn't on my mind in the sense of always having the vision before you. It was on my mind like I needed to solve the problem. So when I read this book, it was like, you know what? It is what it is. Things are going to come my way. One, because I believe them, I attract them, but it's not my responsibility to will them to me. It's not my responsibility to fix the problems, and things like that. So I enjoyed this book. Listening to it, I've listened to it probably 2 or 3 times this year alone. I was introduced to it in 2019, and then I picked it back up. Well, press play again and just listen to it for like 2 more cycles, because every time I feel like something isn't happening fast enough, or if I feel myself being the control freak that I am, I always go back to this book, and it's a reminder to let things go. It is what it is. You create that vision in your head. You do what you're supposed to do, but it's not your responsibility to force situations to happen. I will say the book is, it has some language in there. Remember, it was 1925. So the first time I heard colored, I was like, oh my, we don't say those words anymore. But when you read books, especially from way back in the day, sometimes you just have to ignore the language and really look at the big picture. And the big picture of that book was, for me, now you may read it and you may get like some different points, but the overall book for me was things will happen when they are supposed to happen. I am not control. I don't have to force the situation. Very true, especially in like relationships. Hey, if you're going to be with that person, they're going to come, and you just going about your business, right? What I took from it is you let go. You don't become attached to the outcome. That sums it up. Do not be attached to the outcome. All right. So that was book number 1, The Game of Life and How to Play It. Book number 2 that has, I don't know, I've been reading this book, oh my gosh, for a couple of years now. And every time I go through a cycle of it, something new always drop into my soul and my mind and things like that. I only started reading the PDF version this year, but all the other years and times that I've read this book was audio version. Millions of people know about this book. It was also written way back in the day. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you think that book is only about money, it is not. So many life principles, so many strategies, tips, tools. Oh my gosh, reading it once, twice, or 3 times is not enough. I actually need to get the physical hard copy of the book because I've taken notes. I've done notes like on the PDF version on my computer. So I was like, I need to get a physical copy so I can actually write some new notes in the book because I have notes everywhere about this book. Think and Grow Rich. You may have heard it from like top personal development people, business leaders, industry professionals. Like every industry top producing person has touched this book. I guarantee it. And so many things that we hear now about how we look at money, how we look at business, how we look at our thoughts and our desires really come from this book. Napoleon Hill spent 25 years researching, I think the top 100 successful men, or over a period of time, 25 years researching top millionaires, industry leaders, geniuses, genii, very smart people. Albert Einstein, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, all of these people. And it makes you, well, I'm not going to say it makes you, it made me realize like you don't have to be this super smart person to accomplish what you want to accomplish. You don't have to be super gifted and talented like, we think we should be to make a major impact on the world. Henry Ford, that's a lot of people talk about Henry Ford from the book and how he revolutionized the travel industry. And I hear people talk about this famous quote, and it was like, well, something like this. I'm paraphrasing. How did you come up with the idea of, making the Model T, making the car? Or did you ask the people? Did you do market research or something like that? And he was like, well, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, because everyone was traveling by foot or by buggy back then. And that just stuck with me. Like sometimes when I get stuck in my head thinking, oh my gosh, is this product good enough? Is this service good enough? How many people do I need to ask, to make sure I produce the right thing? Sometimes you go with the intuition and the gut feeling that God, I say God, you could say your divine spirit or the universe gives you. And when we have a desire to do something so strong, it really doesn't matter what other people think, especially if that desire was put in us as our God-given right to produce it to others. This book has convicted me in several ways because our gifts are not meant for us. They're not meant for us to hoard and to keep. And I know for me, I've really been intentional, especially this latter part coming out of, well, we're not out of the pandemic, but we're out of, major lockdown, being intentional about what I want to share with the world. And I've been making this transition. I'm a college professor, making this transition to really being an empowerment coach and strategist, helping people blend, life and career together to go to their next level and really doing some transformational work. And this book has shown me you can have different seasons in your life. And the moment that you have a desire that's strong enough, you need to go forth and produce it. Every thought, I'm not saying that you have to act on every thought, but if the thought keeps coming up over and over, no matter how many times you try to block it out of your mind, no matter how many times you try to take a different path, if it keeps coming to you, that means that desire is for you to share to the world. Now, in this book, you have to really apply some principles to make sure that thought goes out into the world. And if you want it to be profitable, I'm not gonna lie, I want to be profitable. There's no shame in me saying that because when you have more money, more resources, you do more good in the world, providing that you are already a good person at your core. And I'll leave it at that. So Think and Grow Rich, very powerful book. Again, I think this is my fourth time going through this cycle of reading this book, and it will be a staple in 2021 because as I expand, then there are new things that I probably overlooked or my soul wasn't ready to receive when I read the book. Number 3, this book. This is The Proven Formula to Turn Your Knowledge into Profits, Meant for More by Lisa Sasevich, Queen of Sales Conversion. So I saw Lisa at another virtual summit hosted by another Lisa, and she was a guest speaker or presenter there. And I was just fascinated by how she talked about sales. Now, if you're not in business, You don't skip past this part because I promise it's going to be relevant to your overall life. I know for me, I was never a seller. I had to do fundraising like for cheerleading, other things that I was involved in. And what my family did, they were like, well, how much do you need to raise? We'll just write the check and you can just give out the stuff to the people. Those holiday sales, if you were younger, did you come with the catalog and the cookies, the candles, the cheese spread, and all of that? My people were like, we don't have time for this. Just write the check. And hey, I don't have to sell anything. So I never had to really practice like actual selling. But after reading this book, I realized we're always selling because we're selling ourselves, not like on the street or anything, not selling like that. But in every transaction that we do, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's someone we want to hang out with, whether we want a job promotion or the job itself, whether we want to get invited to a party or an event or anything like that, we're always selling. And what I liked how Lisa presented this information was selling is not just, hey, buy my product, hire me, I got this for you, I can help change your life, all of that, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like that. It wasn't pushy, it wasn't sleazy. It was you are offering a service to help people. And that's it. You're offering your unique gifts and talents to help someone with a breakthrough, help someone solve a problem, help someone have make their life easier, whatever the case may be. You are offering a solution for them. And when I read this, it helped me to understand that all the things that I've gone through in life, all of the gifts and talents that was already downloaded into me, I had to pull those out and realize, I'm pretty powerful. I have a lot to offer the world. And when it was time for me to really get serious about my business and make the shift, I didn't feel so bad about wanting to have a course or a program or a coaching package or anything like that. I will say it wasn't like the light bulb just quickly shifted in my switched on in my head. I read this, I felt really good about it, but I had to sit with it because for me it was still a little tough to get over um being to offer what my services to people. That's what I want to say. So I don't want you to think that any of these books, like I read it then I immediately took off. Some of you will. You may be that person that you can read something and you are like right on fire, you go for it and you don't look back. For me, because sometimes being so intellectual, it's a gift and a curse. So for me this was a curse because I would analyze to death some of the things that she said in this book. But again, with some mindset work, personal development work, get over that. And I find myself coming back to this now that I'm more ready and open to receive what she was saying in here. And it's true, we are meant for more. Whatever you want to do in the world, you are meant for more, but no one is going to know that if you don't present them with the opportunity to work with you. So again, this book was really great. I'm just flipping through it, really talking about sales, but again, not in the sleazy way or anything like that. Another thing that I did like about this book really highlighted your gifts, and I think I said that earlier, but I really wanted to highlight that was the main thing for me. Your gifts, whether you choose to use your gifts to provide a service for monetary value or use your gifts just to share them to the world for free. No judgment on either, but I feel like all of us need to tap into our gifts. And once we tap into our gifts and actually share them, the world will be a better place. And I know that's cliche, but real talk. You hear this all the time. The graveyard is the I think it was like the most expensive place in the world or something like that, because all of the dreams and ideas go out there to die. We have no idea how this world could end up if people actually implemented those thoughts that they have in their mind that could revolutionize the world. So that is what I got from Meant for More. So that was book number 3. Book number 4, I love this book. Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. And yes, I said Figureoutable. I think she made up this word because she got that word from her mom. And I love Marie Forleo. If you've never heard of her, go watch her YouTube channel. I just think she's great. Very practical advice, talking about business again, but also a lot of principles that she talks about, especially in this book, deal with life, right? And she adds a lot of stories and notes. She calls them Figureoutable field notes about people who've applied this technique in their life. Well, not really a technique, just this motto in their life to solve their problems, right? And she has 3 rules. I'm not going to give them away. You can go get the book and read it. But if you really look at your life and any problem that you're having in your life, for the most part, 99% of the time, everything is figure outable. There is a solution to all of your problems, right? Just think about it for a minute. Think about a recent problem that maybe you're still in the middle of right now. If you took the time to really sit down and think, I'm pretty sure you can figure out this problem. You may not want to handle it in a certain situation, but the problem will be resolved, right? So I like that book because sometimes in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too much. I don't want to deal with this right now. Why did this situation have to happen? How am I going to fix this? How am I going to get out of it? I don't see any way out. And it's like, really, chick, calm down, sit down, breathe, and let's think through this, right? And when you do that and when you become rational and get out of your feelings, then you will realize the problem really isn't that big, is really not that drastic. You can figure this out. And I'm not talking about trivial stuff. She talks about people who had to figure out how to pay for these massive medical bills. She talked about people who had to come up with, money at the last minute. Sometimes we overreact. I know I did overreacted a lot. And it's like, really, Renita? Everything is figure outable. So I love this book. I only went through it once and I'm going to go through it again. You're not ready for all of the information. So I will be reading this again. Everything is figure outable by Marie Forleo. All right, this book right here, number 5, I'm not finished with it. I don't know when I'm going to be finished with it, but right now it is giving me life. And look, this will probably be on Vlogmas 2021 to tell you the truth if I do this book review again. It is A Course in Miracles. Yeah, so I've heard people talk about A Course in Miracles. And look, right here, this book, you see it, and I'm only don't laugh at me. I've only read this much of the book. But this book is really helping me to see life in a different way. It's helping me to see God in a different way. I've grown up in the church. I am a Christian, but I'll tell you, some things that we were taught as Christians, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Really understanding the power that we have inside of us based on just being created by God alone. Again, you may not believe in God, but there is a higher power. Most people believe that there is a higher power outside of them, and really just looking at God as the creator and how powerful we are when we are connected to the source. When I started reading this book, and again, I think I started reading this last month. So, like in November, I started reading this book. Total shift in my mind. And I think this has been based on a combination of all the things that I've been doing, mindset work, personal development, growth, going through a lot of things, figuring out things, reading books like this. This book was a combination of this is how you need to approach life. Not saying that life is easy, but it's a whole lot easier when you realize that you have infinite power and that things in this world they've already been here, they've already existed, and you're just going through to get to your destination. You are here to deposit your gifts and talents to the world. You are here to make the kingdom and the world a better place. And then you go ahead and transition. I know that may sound a little morbid, but when I think about it, it's like, you know what? Things that I've been stressing over, things at my job, things in relationships, things with family, not that big of a deal because I'm only here and at this moment, empower people to get to their next level, coach people, provide strategies, systems, and structure, help them with their personal development journey so they can be their best selves. When I focus on doing that work, the world feels like a better place for me, because that is how God has positioned me and transitioned me to be of service. And don't get me wrong, I'm not always in that headspace. That's why I have to keep all this stuff around me. But when I am, it's like when things happen, it feels like things are falling apart. I'm okay, because there's something greater for me. And as long as I'm connected to the source and realize that none of this is my responsibility, the world becomes a better place, and I feel more at peace. I have more joy in my soul, and I do wake up a lot happier. So, A Course in Miracles, very dense. So I have a PhD. I've read some of the most technical, academic, research, statistician based articles there are, especially in mathematics. This right here, I'm already a slow reader, but this right here, I already have to read, a couple things, a few times, because I do have a learning disability. But I don't think this has nothing to do with my learning disability. I've asked other people, like, hey, do you struggle reading this book? And they say, yes, yes, I do. So I don't feel bad that it's taking me this long, but very dense read is deep, and you have to read some sentences multiple times, more than one time. At least I know I did. But I can't wait to finish this book. Is separated into, like, I think it's a course. So from what I know, you can actually go somewhere, take this course, like I think it's set up like a college course, maybe 16 weeks or something like that. But it has the book, then it has the student resources, like a workbook for students, and then it has the teacher resources, a manual, if you wanted to teach this book. But before you can teach it, you got to read it. So A Course in Miracles, I do recommend all of those books. So going back, number one, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shinn. Number two, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Number three, Meant for More by Lisa Sasevich. Number four, Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. And number five, A Course in Miracles. So there you have it, the 5 books that I would recommend for you to read, especially on a personal development journey. If you are thinking about starting a business, if you are thinking about how to make a great shift in your life, and if you just want some more knowledge, to add to your toolkit or in your back pocket, I recommend those books. I would love to hear the books that you are reading or the books that you have read. What are your plans for 2021? Leave those down below, and I'll make sure I type out the descriptions. Well, not the descriptions, the titles of these books in the description below. So I am Dr. V. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.